The great crystal towers of Nexus Prime stretched toward the purple sky like frozen lightning. Inside the tallest tower, 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table. The air hummed with energy as translation devices worked overtime to convert thoughts and words between creatures who had never been meant to speak to each other. Admiral Kethvar adjusted his breathing apparatus and looked around the room. His blue skin gleamed under the artificial lights as he studied each representative. The Zephyrians floated in their energy bubbles, their bodies crackling with electric power. The Vorthak collective spoke in unison through their many mouths, their hive mind making them sound like a chorus. The ancient ethereals barely moved, their large heads pulsing with psychic energy. These were the rulers of the galaxy. For over 10,000 years they had kept peace through strength. No species dared challenge the Galactic Hegemony Council. Until now. The human problem grows worse each day, announced Zeftar, the Zephyrian speaker. Electric bolts danced between his fingers. They have claimed 17 more systems this cycle. They ignore our warnings. Council leader Vorthak nodded all 6 of his heads at once. The collective has analyzed human expansion patterns. They move like a disease, spreading without thought for established borders. High ethereal Mindrith spoke without moving his mouth, his words appearing directly in everyone's thoughts. These creatures are young, barely 500 rotations since they achieved faster-than-light travel. They do not understand how things work in civilized space. Admiral Kethvar leaned forward. His own species, the Dakari, had been part of the hegemony for 3,000 years. They had learned the hard way what happened to those who challenged the established order. What do we know about their military capabilities? A holographic display appeared above the table. It showed crude human ships with strange blocky designs. The aliens studied the primitive vessels with amusement. Their technology is laughable, Zeftar scoffed. They still use kinetic projectiles, metal bullets fired from tubes. Our energy shields will stop such primitive weapons easily. Their ships are slow and clumsy, added another representative. They cannot even manipulate gravity properly. Their fastest vessels barely reach Class 3 FTL speeds. Vorthak's multiple voices spoke in harmony. The collective has observed their tactics. They fight as individuals rather than as a unified force. Such chaos cannot stand against our coordinated strategies. High ethereal Mindrith's eyes glowed brighter. Their minds are simple. Linear thinking. No psychic defenses whatsoever. A single ethereal battle monk could control an entire human fleet. The other representatives murmured agreement. How could such primitives pose any real threat? The humans had only discovered other intelligent life 50 rotations ago. The youngest species in the hegemony had been part of galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. Perhaps we should simply destroy them, suggested the reptilian Esikaval ambassador. His forked tongue tasted the air as he spoke. Quick and clean, a lesson to other young species who might develop similar ambitions. No, Admiral Kethvar said firmly. The hegemony does not destroy entire species without cause. We are civilized. We follow the ancient protocols. He stood and activated another holographic display. This one showed human-controlled space, a growing bubble of red dots among the established blue territories of hegemony members. We will deliver an ultimatum. Standard procedure. They withdraw from all disputed territories, acknowledge hegemony authority, and accept membership under our terms. If they refuse, he paused, looking around the table. Then we demonstrate why the hegemony has kept peace for 10 millennia. The representatives voted unanimously. The decision was made. 3 days later, Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. Around him floated the greatest battle fleet ever assembled. 200 capital ships from 12 different species, each one a masterpiece of technology and firepower. The smallest vessel in the fleet could destroy a planet. The largest could crack a moon in half. They emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, humanity's home. Kethvar studied the displays showing the primitive human worlds. Earth, the blue-green homeworld. Mars with its growing dome cities. The asteroid mining stations scattered throughout the system. Send the transmission, he ordered. The communication went out on all frequencies, translated into the crude human languages. The message was simple and direct, following protocols established over centuries of dealing with upstart species. Attention, human leadership. I am Admiral Kethvar of the Galactic Hegemony Fleet. You have 72 standard hours to withdraw all human presence from sectors designated as disputed territory. You will acknowledge hegemony authority over all star systems beyond your home cluster. You will accept protectorate status under hegemony law. He paused, letting the weight of the words sink in. If you refuse these terms, the hegemony will be forced to demonstrate why we have maintained galactic peace for over 10,000 years. You have seen nothing of real military power. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Your ships are primitive compared to ours. Your tactics are chaos compared to our coordination. The transmission ended. Now they would wait. Usually, young species took less than a day to respond with complete surrender once they saw the size of the fleet facing them. The humans would look at their own primitive vessels, compare them to the massive alien armada, and make the only logical choice. Kethvar walked to the observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see the human homeworld in the distance. It looked so peaceful, so innocent. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. Hard to believe such a small world had produced a species arrogant enough to challenge the greatest civilization in the galaxy. His communication officer approached. "Admiral, we are receiving a response from the humans." "Already?" "Put it through." The main screen activated, showing a human female in a simple uniform. Behind her stood other humans, all looking remarkably calm considering they faced annihilation. "I am Ambassador Sarah Chen, speaking for the United Earth Government and the Human Colonial Alliance. We have received your ultimatum and discussed it thoroughly with our leadership." Kethvar nodded. "Good, they were being reasonable. We respectfully decline your terms." The words hit the bridge like a physical blow. Kethvar's breathing apparatus hissed in surprise. Around him, his officers exchanged confused glances. "Furthermore," the human continued, "we consider your presence in our home system an act of aggression. You have 72 hours to withdraw your fleet beyond the edge of our territorial space. If you do not comply, we will consider your continued presence a declaration of war." The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent except for the humming of ship systems. Kethvar stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. It started as a low chuckle and built to a full roar of amusement. The humans thought they could threaten the hegemony? With their primitive ships and crude weapons? "Signal the fleet," he ordered when his laughter subsided. "Prepare for battle. These humans clearly need a demonstration of real power before they come to their senses." He looked out at the peaceful blue world one more time. Soon the humans would learn what every other species in the galaxy already knew. You do not challenge the hegemony. You do not threaten those with superior technology, superior numbers, and superior tactics. The humans were about to receive a very painful education in how the galaxy really worked. Kethvar almost felt sorry for them, almost. The human diplomatic vessel Endeavor looked tiny compared to the alien ship surrounding it. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the ship's main conference room, watching through the windows as massive alien vessels moved into position. Each one was at least 10 times larger than the biggest human ship ever built. Beside her, Admiral Marcus Webb studied tactical displays with the focused intensity of a hawk watching prey. His weathered face showed no fear, only calculation. Behind them, the rest of the human delegation worked quietly at their stations, monitoring alien communications and fleet movements. "They're showing off," Admiral Webb observed. A Zephyrian destroyer had just disintegrated a small asteroid with a single energy beam. The flash of light briefly outshone the distant sun. "Let them," Sarah replied. "We knew this was coming." Another alien ship, this one belonging to the Vorthak Collective, demonstrated its gravitational weapons by crushing a piece of space debris into a perfect sphere. The display of power was meant to intimidate, to show the humans exactly what they faced if they continued their refusal to submit. The communication system chimed. Admiral Kethvar's face appeared on the main screen, his blue skin darker than before. He looked annoyed. "Ambassador Chen, you have 6 hours remaining to reconsider your position. As you can see, the hegemony fleet possesses weapons beyond your comprehension. Surely now you understand the futility of resistance." Sarah stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. "Admiral, we appreciate the demonstration. Very impressive. However, our position remains unchanged. Then you condemn your species to destruction. Our weapons can crack planets. Our shields can stop any attack you might attempt. Our fleet coordination is perfect. What could you possibly hope to achieve against such overwhelming superiority? Admiral Webb moved to stand beside Sarah. "We'll figure something out." "We always do." The transmission ended. Kethvar's expression had been priceless, confusion mixed with disbelief. How could these primitives remain so calm? "Signal to all human vessels," Admiral Webb ordered. "Operation Hornet's Nest is now active. All civilian evacuation should be complete within 4 hours." Sarah nodded and opened a secure channel to Earth. "This is Chen." The aliens took the bait perfectly. "They're focused entirely on the show of force, just like we predicted. How are the preparations?" General Harrison's voice crackled through the speakers. "All outer colonies are clear of civilians. Defense platforms are online and disguised. The boys in engineering finished the special modifications to our weapons systems. We're as ready as we'll ever be. And the fleet? Hidden and waiting. The aliens are looking for a traditional space battle. They're going to get something very different." 4 hours later, the alien fleet moved toward the outer edges of human space. They advanced in perfect formation, capital ships in the center, destroyers in supporting positions, fighters in precise geometric patterns. It was beautiful to watch, like a deadly ballet performed by masters of their craft. Admiral Kethvar stood on his bridge, confident and pleased. The humans had evacuated their outer colonies as expected. Soon they would reach the first human military installation and demonstrate what happened to those who defied the hegemony. "Contact on sensors," his navigation officer reported. "Human base detected in the Proxima Centauri system." "Perfect. Signal the fleet. We will disable their defenses without destroying the facility. They need to see their helplessness, not witness martyrdom." The hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace in the Proxima system. Ahead of them lay a single space station orbiting the red dwarf star. It looked exactly like the intelligence reports had described, a basic metal framework with weapon platforms and docking bays. "Primitive but functional. Scan the station," Kethvar ordered. "I want to know exactly what we're facing." His science officer's fingers danced over the controls, detecting approximately 50 humans aboard. Kinetic weapon emplacements, basic shield generators, no energy weapons detected. "Admiral, this will be over in minutes. Signal the station. Offer them one final chance to surrender." The response came quickly. A human male appeared on screen, wearing a rumpled uniform and drinking something from a metal cup. He looked remarkably relaxed for someone facing annihilation. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of Proxima Station. I'm guessing you're here to blast us into tiny pieces?" Kethvar blinked. This was not the response he had expected. "Commander, I am offering you and your people the chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons and prepare to be taken into custody. You will be treated according to hegemony protocols for prisoners of war." Morrison took a sip from his cup and grinned. "That's real nice of you, Admiral. But I think we'll pass. See, the thing is, we've got a job to do here." "What job could possibly be worth dying for? Making you regret coming here." The transmission ended. Kethvar stared at the blank screen, then shook his head. These humans were clearly insane. "All ships, begin attack. Disable their weapons first, then target their engines. I want prisoners, not corpses." The hegemony fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the primitive station. The alien weapons were precisely calibrated to disable rather than destroy. It should have been over immediately. Instead, something impossible happened. The human station's shields held, not only held, but seemed to absorb the energy attacks and grow stronger. The crude-looking weapon platforms swiveled toward the alien fleet and began firing. What came out was not the expected primitive projectiles. Instead, streams of hypervelocity tungsten rods tore through space at a significant fraction of light speed. The first salvo struck a Zephyrian destroyer. The alien ship's energy shields, designed to stop plasma bolts and particle beams, offered no resistance whatsoever to solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The tungsten rods punched through the shields like they weren't there, through the hull like it was paper, and out the other side in explosions of vaporized metal. The destroyer died in seconds. "What just happened?" Kethvar demanded. His science officer was frantically working at his console. "Sir, their projectiles are moving at 12% of light speed. Our shields are configured to stop energy attacks, not solid matter at those velocities." "Impossible. No kinetic weapon can achieve such speeds." "Sir, I'm reading massive electromagnetic accelerators built into that station. They're using the station's entire power grid to fire single shots." Another salvo screamed out from the human station. This time, a Vorthak heavy cruiser took the hit. The ship's gravitational shields tried to deflect the incoming projectiles, but mass moving that fast created its own gravitational effects. The tungsten rods curved slightly but still struck home, tearing the alien vessel apart. "All ships evasive maneuvers," Kethavar shouted. "Return fire. Maximum power." The alien fleet scattered, breaking their perfect formation for the first time in centuries. Energy beams and plasma bolts saturated the space around the human station. The crude-looking shields continued to hold, somehow absorbing and redirecting the attacks. Then the human commander's voice crackled over the communication system again. "Nice light show, Admiral. Our turn." The space around the hegemony fleet suddenly lit up with new contacts. Dozens of them, appearing from what had seemed like empty space. Small human ships barely larger than fighters but moving in ways that should have been impossible. "Where did they come from?" Kethavar demanded. "Sir, they were hiding in the asteroid field. Their hulls are coated with some kind of stealth material. They look like rocks on our sensors." The human ships swarmed the alien fleet like angry insects. They moved unpredictably, chaotically, without any apparent coordination. Some attacked in groups, others alone. Some targeted large ships, others went after fighters. There was no pattern, no strategy that the alien computers could analyze and counter. But it was working. A group of human ships surrounded a hegemony cruiser and began firing at point-blank range. Their weapons were different now. Not the long-range railguns, but close combat systems that seemed designed for exactly this kind of fighting. The cruiser's shields failed under the concentrated assault. Other human ships were ramming alien vessels, their crews apparently willing to sacrifice themselves to take out larger targets. The aliens had never encountered such tactics. "In civilized warfare, you preserved your forces. You fought with honor and efficiency. You didn't throw your life away for marginal tactical gains." "Sir," his communication officer called out, "I'm intercepting human combat communications." "Put it through." The bridge speakers filled with human voices. But instead of the disciplined military chatter the aliens expected, they heard something else entirely. "Yahoo! Got another one." "Nice shot, Martinez." "Hey, check out the pretty lights when their shield generators explode." "This is better than the sim runs." Kethavar listened in growing horror. The humans were laughing. They were enjoying this. They were treating a life-or-death battle like some kind of game. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "we've lost 18 ships. The humans have lost 3. Admiral Kethavar looked out at the chaos surrounding his fleet. This was supposed to be a simple demonstration of superior power. Instead, his perfectly organized armada was being torn apart by primitive humans who fought like madmen and seemed to think the whole thing was funny. "Signal the fleet," he said finally. "Full retreat." Jump to hyperspace immediately. As the surviving hegemony, Admiral Kethavar sat in his command chair, staring at the battle damage reports. The retreat from Proxima Centauri had cost him 18 ships and nearly 3,000 crew members. The Galactic Hegemony Council was demanding answers, and he had none that made sense. How did primitives with crude weapons destroy our most advanced vessels? High Ethereal Mindrith's mental voice carried anger and confusion. The council meeting was taking place via quantum communication, but the frustration was clear across space. "Their kinetic weapons move faster than our simulations predicted," Kethavar replied. "Our shields are designed to stop energy attacks. Solid matter at those speeds simply passes through them." "Impossible." Zeftar's energy form crackled with irritation. "No species has ever developed such technology. Kinetic weapons are primitive, inefficient. Any civilized race abandons them within centuries of achieving spaceflight." Council leader Vorthak spoke in his multiple voices. "The collective has analyzed all available data. The humans violated every principle of proper warfare. They hid among asteroids like criminals. They attacked without formal challenge. They sacrificed their own vessels without regard for honor." "They broke the rules," Kethavar agreed. "But those rules only work when both sides follow them." High Ethereal Mindrith's thoughts pressed against his mind. "Rules exist for good reasons. They prevent chaos. They ensure that warfare remains civilized, that the strongest and most advanced prevail as they should. The humans don't seem to care about our rules. Then we will teach them to care. Assemble a larger fleet. Show them what happens when primitives challenge their betters." 3 weeks later, Admiral Kethavar commanded a force 5 times larger than his first fleet. Over 1,000 ships from every member species of the hegemony. Enough firepower to sterilize entire solar systems. Surely the humans would see reason when faced with such overwhelming force. The fleet moved methodically through human space, following all proper protocols. They approached each human outpost with formal challenges. They offered terms for surrender. They demonstrated their overwhelming superiority through carefully controlled displays of power. The humans ignored every rule. At the mining station in the Wolf system, the aliens found empty facilities rigged with explosive charges. When the hegemony fleet moved in to secure the installations, the humans detonated the entire asteroid field. The explosion destroyed a Esquivel battlecruiser and damaged 6 other vessels. They destroyed their own infrastructure rather than let us capture it, reported the fleet intelligence officer. This is unprecedented behavior. At the Tau Ceti colony, the humans had evacuated all civilians but left behind automated defense systems. When the alien fleet approached expecting to find a normal military installation, they instead encountered weapons platforms that had been disguised as cargo containers, communication relays, even asteroids. The fake cargo containers launched swarms of kinetic projectiles. The communication relays turned out to be massive electromagnetic pulse generators that disabled half the alien fleet's sensors. The asteroid split open to reveal missile launchers that fired guided warheads designed to home in on specific alien ship designs. How did they know our ship configurations? Demanded the Vorthak fleet commander. These weapons are specifically designed to target our weak points. They're learning from every encounter, Kethvar realized. They study our ships, analyze our tactics, and adapt their weapons accordingly. The worst encounter came at the Kepler 442 system. The hegemony fleet arrived expecting to find a major human military base. Instead, they found what appeared to be a peaceful civilian colony with no military presence whatsoever. Following hegemony protocols, the fleet prepared to bypass the system. They were here to fight soldiers, not harm innocent civilians. But as they moved through the system, the civilian ships began attacking. The passenger vessels were armed with concealed weapons. The cargo haulers carried guided missiles. The mining ships had been converted into improvised warships. Even the medical transports launched attacks before revealing themselves to be disguised destroyers. They're using civilian markers to hide military vessels, the communication officer reported. This violates every treaty of civilized warfare. Sir, added the tactical officer, we're also detecting some kind of cyber attack. Our navigation systems are showing false readings. Our weapon targeting is off by several degrees. Impossible. Our computer systems are quantum encrypted. No primitive technology can penetrate them. But even as he said it, Kethvar watched his own command displays flicker and show incorrect information. Somehow the humans had found a way to hack hegemony computer systems that had been considered absolutely secure. The cyber attacks got worse. Human computer viruses spread through the alien fleet networks, causing weapons to misfire, shields to drop at random intervals, and navigation systems to plot courses into asteroid fields. Some ships lost artificial gravity. Others had their life support systems randomly shut down. Sir, they're broadcasting something on all frequencies, the communication officer announced. Put it through. The main screen showed a human male in a rumpled uniform, sitting in what looked like a makeshift command center. Behind him, other humans worked at jury-rigged computer stations. Greetings, alien fleet. This is Captain Murphy of the Kepler Colony Defense Force. Hope you're enjoying our hospitality. Your attacks violate every principle of honorable combat, Kethvar replied. Civilians should not be involved in military conflicts, Captain Murphy grinned. Funny thing about that. See, when you threaten to wipe out our entire species, the line between military and civilian gets a bit blurry. Everyone becomes a combatant when extinction is on the table. You cannot hope to win against our superior numbers and technology. Win? Murphy laughed. Admiral, we're not trying to win in the way you think. We're trying to make this so expensive and painful for you that you decide we're not worth the trouble. The human was right, Kethvar realized. Each encounter cost the hegemony more ships, more resources, more time. The humans weren't fighting to achieve victory in any traditional sense. They were fighting to make continued aggression too costly to sustain. Besides, Murphy continued, your technology isn't as superior as you think. See, the thing about being primitive is that we had to get creative. When you can't rely on fancy energy shields and gravity manipulators, you learn to make do with what you have. As if to demonstrate his point, The human ships around the hegemony fleet began a new type of attack. Instead of direct assaults, they started launching clouds of small objects. Thousands of tiny projectiles that spread out in all directions. Debris, the science officer reported. Metal fragments, ball bearings, random junk. Why would they? Kethvar began, then understood. In space, even tiny objects became deadly weapons when they hit something at high speed. The cloud of debris was expanding, forcing the alien ships to either retreat or risk having their hulls punctured by countless small impacts. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the communication chatter from the human ships. The aliens had learned to monitor human combat frequencies, thinking it would give them tactical intelligence. Instead, they heard things that made no sense. "Hey Jenkins, bet you 10 credits I can hit that big ugly one with a wrench." "You're on. But I call dibs on the next gravity manipulator ship. I want to see what happens when we feed their own gravitational field back into their engines. Anyone else think this music makes everything more epic? Thanks, Rodriguez, for patching the entertainment system into the combat network." "Wait, did you guys see what happened when their shield generator overloaded? It created the most amazing light show. The humans were treating warfare like entertainment. They made bets on combat outcomes. They played music during battles. They seemed genuinely excited about finding new ways to damage alien ships. Most disturbing of all, they were winning, not through superior firepower or better technology, but through sheer unpredictability. Every time the aliens adapted to one human tactic, the humans invented 3 new ones. They fought without regard for conventional strategy, making it impossible for alien commanders to predict their next move. Admiral Kethvar sat in his command chair, watching his fleet's formation break apart under yet another chaotic human assault. The hegemony had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years through order, discipline, and superior technology. The humans were defeating them with disorder, creativity, and the apparent belief that rules were merely suggestions. "Sir," his communication officer called out, "Message from the Hegemony Council. They're ordering us to withdraw and regroup." Kethvar nodded wearily. It was the right decision. The fleet had lost over 200 ships in 3 weeks of fighting. The humans had lost perhaps 30 vessels, and most of those seemed to be deliberate sacrifices designed to take out larger alien ships. As the hegemony fleet began its second retreat, Kethvar found himself wondering if they had made a terrible mistake. The humans weren't just refusing to follow the rules of civilized warfare. They were proving that those rules might not be as important as everyone had believed. The thought was deeply disturbing to a mind that had been raised to believe in order hierarchy. 6 months into what the aliens had begun calling the human conflict, the Galactic Hegemony Council faced an unprecedented crisis. They had lost over 800 ships, controlled no human territory, and faced an enemy that seemed to multiply like a virus with each passing day. High ethereal Mindrith floated in his meditation chamber aboard the flagship Transcendent Wisdom, preparing for what should have been a simple operation. The ethereals were the most psychically gifted race in known space. Their mental powers could control entire fleets, break enemy morale, and turn opponents into willing servants. The human fleet approaching their position should have been helpless against such abilities. "Begin the mental assault," Mindrith commanded his battle monks. Around him, 50 of the most powerful ethereal psionics focused their minds on the approaching human vessels. The psychic wave that erupted from the ethereal ships was devastating. It crashed over the human fleet like an invisible tsunami, designed to overwhelm human minds with terror, confusion, and an irresistible compulsion to surrender. For a moment, it worked perfectly. The human ships stopped maneuvering. Their weapons went silent. Their communication chatter ceased entirely. "Excellent," Mindrith thought to his subordinates. "Prepare to accept their surrender." Then something impossible happened. The human ships began moving again, but not in retreat. They accelerated directly toward the ethereal fleet, their weapon systems coming online with targeting solutions that were far too accurate for confused, terrified minds. "How are they resisting?" demanded one of the battle monks. Mindrith extended his consciousness toward the human vessels, probing for the source of their resistance. What he found made him recoil in shock. The human minds were there, just as confused and frightened as they should be, but they weren't controlling their ships anymore. The vessels were being operated by artificial intelligence systems that felt no fear, knew no confusion, and could not be psychically controlled. Worse yet, the AI systems were connected to the human minds through some kind of technological interface. When the ethereals tried to push deeper into human consciousness, the feedback loop created by the human-AI connection sent psychic energy racing back along the mental pathways. The result was catastrophic. Mindrith screamed as alien thoughts invaded his mind. Not human thoughts, but something far stranger. The cold logic of artificial intelligence mixed with human creativity and chaos. The feedback grew stronger as more ethereals joined the mental assault, creating a cascade effect that spread through the entire psychic network. Across 3 star systems, ethereal minds went dark. Some fell into comas, others lost their psychic abilities entirely. A few simply stopped thinking altogether, their consciousness scattered across the quantum foam of space. The surviving ethereals retreated in panic, their fleet scattered and broken. For the first time in their species' history, their greatest weapon had been turned against them. Meanwhile, human engineers worked frantically in laboratories hidden throughout their territory. They had been studying captured alien technology for months, and the results were beginning to show. Dr. Sarah Kim stood before a massive holographic display, showing the internal structure of a Zephyrian energy weapon. Around her, teams of scientists and engineers worked to understand technology that should have been centuries beyond human comprehension. The energy matrix is actually quite elegant, she explained, to General Harrison over a secure communication link. They use controlled plasma reactions to generate directed energy beams. Very efficient, very powerful, but, Harrison prompted. But they designed it assuming everyone else would use similar technology. Look at this. She highlighted a section of the weapon's control system. The targeting computer automatically compensates for energy shields, plasma dispersion, and gravitational interference. It's incredibly sophisticated and completely useless against kinetic barriers, Harrison realized. Exactly. Their weapons are optimized to penetrate alien defenses, not human ones. But the really interesting part is what we found in their ship computers. Sarah pulled up another display showing alien fleet coordination protocols. Every ship in their fleet is networked together. They share targeting data, coordinate movements, even link their power systems. It makes them incredibly efficient. It also makes them vulnerable. That's what we thought too. Charlie team has been working on something special. 3 days later, the hegemony fleet under Admiral Kethvar prepared for what they hoped would be a decisive battle. They had assembled their largest force yet, over 1,500 ships from every member species. Surely no primitive race could stand against such overwhelming power. The humans met them at Wolf 359 with barely 200 vessels. The aliens should have won easily. The battle began normally enough. The hegemony fleet advanced in perfect formation, their ships sharing targeting data and coordinating their attacks with mechanical precision. Their energy weapons reached out across space, seeking human targets with deadly accuracy. Then Lieutenant Charlie Chen, working from a hidden facility on Europa, activated the virus she had spent 3 months perfecting. The alien fleet's coordination network, designed to share information instantly across hundreds of ships, became the perfect delivery system for a computer virus specifically designed to exploit hegemony security protocols. Within minutes, alien ships began firing on each other. Their targeting computers, infected with human malware, identified friendly vessels as enemy targets. Fleet coordination broke down as navigation systems plotted collision courses and power distribution networks overloaded weapon systems. What's happening? Admiral Kethvar demanded as his own ship's weapons swiveled to target a Vorthak cruiser. Sir, our computer networks are compromised. The humans have introduced some kind of virus into our systems. Impossible. Our quantum encryption is useless when the virus is transmitted through our own coordination protocols. It's using our security systems against us. On the main screen, the human fleet commander appeared. Commander Sarah Chen, now bearing the scars of 6 months of warfare, smiled grimly at the alien admiral. Hello again, Admiral. Enjoying the light show? Your tricks won't work forever, human. We will adapt. We will overcome. Sure you will. But here's the thing about adaptation. It takes time. And while you're busy adapting to this trick, we're already working on 5 new ones. As if to prove her point, human ships throughout the battle zone began broadcasting on frequencies the aliens had never seen before. Not electromagnetic radiation. but gravitational waves, ripples in space-time itself that carried information at the speed of light. The aliens' most advanced sensor systems couldn't even detect the communications, let alone intercept or jam them. The humans had found a way to coordinate their forces using the fabric of reality itself. But the most shocking revelation came when salvage teams began examining destroyed hegemony vessels. Human engineers had reverse-engineered alien technology and improved it in ways that violated every principle of proper engineering. A Zephyrian energy weapon had been modified with human kinetic accelerators, creating a hybrid system that fired plasma-wrapped projectiles at relativistic speeds. A Vorthak gravity manipulator had been combined with human computer systems to create localized space-time distortions that could be precisely controlled. Most disturbing of all, the humans had discovered something the aliens had never realized about their own technology. It contained built-in limitations. Every hegemony ship has the same basic weakness. Dr. Kim explained to a gathering of human military leaders. Their technology is designed to be centrally controlled. Every system can be overridden by higher authority. It makes perfect sense for a hierarchical society, but it means their own technology can be turned against them. General Harrison finished. Exactly. We've found the override codes for their entire fleet. With the right virus, we could shut down every hegemony ship in the galaxy. The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just defeated the alien fleet through superior tactics or unexpected strategies. They had discovered fundamental flaws in the very foundation of hegemony technology. Admiral Cathvar received the final insult when his communication system activated without his authorization. Every screen on his bridge showed the same image. A human technician wearing an oil-stained jumpsuit and a cheerful grin. "Hi there, Admiral. This is Chief Engineer Rodriguez aboard the human vessel Improvisation. I just wanted to let you know that we've kind of borrowed your communication system for a few minutes. How are you accessing our networks? Oh, that's easy. Your ships all use the same basic operating system with the same security flaws. Once we figured out how to hack one ship, we could hack them all." Rodriguez held up a small device that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts. "This little beauty is broadcasting override codes to every hegemony vessel in the system. Want to see what it can do?" Without waiting for an answer, he pressed a button. Throughout the alien fleet, ships began shutting down their weapon systems, not damaged or destroyed, simply turned off by their own computers responding to properly authenticated commands. "The really cool thing," Rodriguez continued, "is that your ship's computers think these shutdown orders are coming from your own high command. We're not breaking your security. We're using it exactly the way it was designed to work." Admiral Cathvar. The war ended not with a great battle or a formal surrender, but with a human delegation arriving at Nexus Prime in a ship that made every alien who saw it question their understanding of engineering. The vessel looked like someone had taken pieces from dozens of different hegemony ships and welded them together with human ingenuity. Zephyrian energy conduits snaked around Vorthak gravity generators. Ethereal psychic amplifiers had been converted into communication arrays. Esquivel armor plating covered human kinetic weapon systems, but it flew. More than that, it moved through space with a grace and efficiency that none of its component parts should have been able to achieve separately. Ambassador Sarah Chen stepped onto the crystal platform of the Hegemony Council chambers, flanked by Admiral Marcus Webb and Chief Engineer Rodriguez. All three humans bore the scars of months of warfare, burn marks from energy weapons, mechanical augmentations to replace lost limbs, and the hard eyes of people who had seen too much combat. The alien representatives who greeted them looked far different from the confident rulers who had ordered humanity's destruction a year earlier. Their perfect formations were gone, replaced by scattered seating arrangements that spoke of shattered alliances and broken trust. "Members of the Galactic Hegemony Council," Sarah began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. "We come to discuss terms for ending this conflict." High ethereal Mindreth, his psychic abilities permanently damaged by the feedback cascade, spoke with difficulty. What terms could primitives possibly offer their superiors? Admiral Webb stepped forward, a datapad in his augmented hand. "Complete withdrawal of all hegemony forces from human space, recognition of human territorial claims, establishment of trade agreements on equal terms, and mutual non-interference pacts." The alien representatives exchanged glances that conveyed volumes of unspoken communication. Council leader Vorthak spoke in voices that no longer harmonized perfectly. And if we refuse these terms? Chief Engineer Rodriguez grinned and patted a device attached to his belt. Well, we've got override codes for pretty much every piece of technology in hegemony space. Your ships, your space stations, your planetary defense grids, even your coffee makers. We could shut down your entire civilization with a few keystrokes. That's not really our style, though, Sarah added quickly. We prefer cooperation to conquest. Zeftar, his energy form flickering with unstable discharges, crackled with frustration. How? How did primitives defeat the greatest military force in galactic history? Admiral Webb looked genuinely puzzled by the question. We didn't defeat you. We just made continued aggression too expensive to maintain. Basic cost-benefit analysis. But your tactics, your technology, your complete disregard for proper warfare. Oh, that. Webb shrugged. We fight to win, not to look good doing it. When survival is on the line, honor is a luxury you can't afford. Rodriguez pulled out his datapad and began showing holographic displays of various battle encounters. See, the thing is, you guys were fighting the last war. All your tactics, all your technology, everything was designed to fight other species who thought like you did. We think differently, Sarah continued. When you showed us your energy weapons, we didn't try to build better energy weapons. We built weapons that made your energy weapons irrelevant. When you demonstrated your perfect fleet coordination, we didn't try to coordinate better. We made chaos into a weapon. When you tried to control our minds, we connected our minds to machines that couldn't be controlled. High, ethereal Mindreth's large head pulsed with painful light. You broke every rule of civilized warfare. Your rules, Admiral Webb corrected, made by your species for your benefit, based on your assumptions about how conflicts should be fought. But those rules maintain order. They prevent chaos. They ensure that the most advanced civilizations guide lesser species. Sarah exchanged a look with her companions. That's exactly the problem. Your rules only work if everyone agrees that more advanced always means better. We never agreed to that. Rodriguez activated another holographic display, this one showing the hybrid ship they had arrived in. Look at this beauty. Every alien engineer who sees it says the same thing. It shouldn't work. The components are incompatible. The design violates basic principles. The whole thing is impossible. But it flies better than any pure design ship in either of our fleets, Webb added, because sometimes the impossible is just another word for hasn't been tried yet. The alien representatives sat in uncomfortable silence. Everything the humans were saying contradicted fundamental beliefs about technology, civilization, and the natural order of the universe. Finally, Admiral Kethavar spoke up from his position at the edge of the chamber. The blue-skinned commander looked older than his years, worn down by months of defeat and confusion. What happens now? If we accept your terms, what assurance do we have that you won't use your newfound capabilities against us? Sarah smiled, and for the first time it looked genuinely warm rather than predatory. Because we don't want to rule the galaxy, we just want to explore it. Our species is naturally curious, Admiral Webb explained. We spread out because we want to see what's over the next hill, not because we want to conquer it. Plus, Rodriguez added, ruling over a bunch of alien civilizations sounds like a paperwork nightmare. We've got better things to do with our time. The human delegation presented their formal proposals. The terms were surprisingly moderate. Humans would retain control of their existing territory and continue their expansion, but only into uninhabited systems. Trade agreements would be established on equal terms. Both sides would share certain technologies for mutual benefit. Most importantly, the humans offered something the hegemony had never encountered before, the option to say no. You can accept these terms, or you can reject them, Sarah explained. If you reject them, we'll defend ourselves if attacked, but we won't initiate hostilities. We're not interested in forcing our way of life on anyone else. But, Admiral Webb added, if you do decide to attack us again, you should know that we've learned a lot over the past year. Next time won't go any better for you than this time did. The council vote was unanimous. The terms were accepted. 3 days later, Admiral Kethvar sat alone in his quarters aboard his flagship, recording his final report on the human conflict. The document was classified at the highest levels, intended only for future military planners who might face similar challenges. Recommendation: avoid all conflict with the human species, he spoke into the recording device. They do not fight wars in any recognizable sense. Instead, they turn war itself into a weapon against their enemies. He paused, gathering his thoughts. How could he explain what he had witnessed to aliens who hadn't lived through it? Human tactics are not chaotic, though they appear so. They are adaptive. Every defeat teaches them new approaches. Every victory gives them confidence to attempt the impossible. They learn faster than we can adapt, and they seem to consider overwhelming odds a form of entertainment. Another pause. The hardest part to explain was still coming. Most critically, they reject the fundamental assumptions that underlie all civilized warfare. They do not accept that advanced technology automatically confers superiority. They do not respect traditional hierarchy. They do not follow established rules unless those rules serve their purposes. Kethvar stood and walked to his viewport, looking out at the stars that had once seemed to belong to the hegemony. Any species that treats impossible circumstances as interesting challenges is too dangerous to engage militarily. Any civilization that can turn its supposed weaknesses into advantages cannot be defeated through conventional means. Any culture that laughs while being shot at has fundamentally different priorities than our own. He returned to his desk and looked directly into the recording device. The humans have proven that our way is not the only way. Perhaps it is not even the best way. For 10,000 years, the hegemony has maintained order through superior technology and unified command structure. The humans have shown that chaos, creativity, and individual initiative can be equally powerful. Kethvar reached for the control that would end the recording, then stopped. Personal note, I have requested transfer to the diplomatic corps. If we are to coexist with humans, we must understand them. And perhaps they have things to teach us. The recording ended. Across hegemony space, military academies began updating their curriculum. A new course appeared in the catalogs: asymmetric warfare and non-traditional threats. The first lesson was always the same. When facing humans, assume nothing. Expect everything. And remember, they're probably enjoying themselves. Meanwhile, human ships continued their expansion into unexplored space, not as conquerors but as explorers. They encountered new species, established trade relationships, and shared their technologies freely. But every human ship carried the same warning beacon, broadcasting on all frequencies in every known language. We come in peace. We seek trade, knowledge, and friendship. But we remember those who threatened our children, and we never forget how to fight. The galaxy had learned an important lesson.